Episode 9, I finally got her on, and like I really wanted to get Aubrey on here. Aubrey, what's going on?
Not much. Just hanging out in New York City while you're enjoying the Hamptons. So grinding out.
It's like, yeah, she's talking about me grinding it out. Like, meanwhile, she's
No,
on.
I am.
Oh, okay, you're grinding it out. Okay, fine.
You're in the Hamptons.
I really wanted to get Aubrey on the show because I like Aubrey. I've seen all the stuff that she's done in this space, and I was like, I hope she gets back to me and says yes. Because she says no, then I'm just like going to be really, really sad. But so thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So, I mean, last time we talked was like in 2018.
No, was it?
Yeah, it was like 2018. The show was like, I mean, like, it was a Sunday. And
I remember that.
I just wanted to apologize now. Because
Why?
like I think I came off a little bit like mean about like I'm passionate about my New York Football Giants, and you obviously are passionate about your team. And I didn't think that you were that passionate. So then I got competitive, and then like I don't know, like the passion took over, and I don't like the Eagles.
No, I mean, we're in the same division. It's a rivalry. It's fine. I didn't really, that podcast was so unhinged. You should link to that if people haven't seen it, because it just like popped off really fast. It changed into a sports podcast really quickly. But
I look back at some of like my old stuff, and I like cringe hard. I'm like,
just don't watch it.
No, I can't. Because it's like it's a huge difference from where you started to where you're at now. And it's like, okay. This is maturity.
But as long as you know that, like, you know, the stuff that you make in the beginning isn't going to be the best stuff that you make. So I don't know. And everyone's also their own worst critic, right?
I'm horrible.
You just don't watch it. I don't watch anything that if I come on this show, I won't watch like it back because I already lived it.
I'm with you on that. Like, I don't watch any of this. Like, the amount of times like I've been on Fox and stuff like that, or I go onto somebody's podcast, I don't watch it because like I view myself and I will critique myself, and I won't be able to sleep. I'll be like, oh my god,
yeah,
look what I did. I said that was horrible. Like, so I'm out. Like, it's no disrespect, love you guys, but like you said, I already experienced it.
Yeah, it's tough. And that's why you just have to like avoid and pretend like it didn't happen. But it's also, you have to watch your own content to get better at it, right? You can't, like, your own stuff that you put out. Do you watch that?
This is the only show that I'll watch.
Yeah.
So like, this is episode 9, even though like this show's been around for longer than that. It's just the relaunch. And now you know you have to have better equipment. You have to do the lighting. Like, you got to produce stuff. And like, I was like, no, like, I just like, before I was jumping on and just like off the cuff, like, no, that's.
But people like that. People like the raw, authentic stuff that doesn't feel scripted. It doesn't feel contrived. And I think that that's what people are trying to get away from, right? Like, they don't want to feel like they're watching that shit.
I just want to fucking talk. Like, that's all I want to do is just like, I don't want to just talk about crypto. Like, I just want to talk about everything. Yeah, mostly I'll be here in Web3, crypto, talking about Bitcoin and all that stuff. But I don't like particularly want to just stay here in this bubble.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I made a podcast, because of the stuff that I wanted to talk about, or like observations, because the podcast is called The Aubservation, is how I ran my Twitter account. I think people who grow platforms on Twitter like to have conversation, naturally like brings them to having a podcast, opposed to people who are on Instagram or, you know, I mean, TikTok is a lot of conversation, so that's definitely winning out. But there's a lot of people that just enjoy discussing things as they break in news and things that if like you could listen into a conversation of us sitting in a bar or like having a coffee. That's how a podcast should feel, not like, all right, now you're interviewing me. You know, that's not real. People know that.
Aubrey, when did you come into this space? What year did you go? And what did you first get? I hate that. Like,
yeah.
Can we have a convo? Like, I agree with you.
Well, there's no originality, and that's what bothered me so much, is not shitting on all the podcasts in the space, but
Shit
like,
on them. Shit on them.
all right, like Bit Boys. But first of all, that whole like controversy right now that's happening with the Tozy and like the lawsuits, like that. I just think number one, people who are trying to sue other creators, so gross. Number one, because there's really nothing to stand on, and he's basically going after a Tozy because a Tozy can't defend himself. And I love that Kobe's coming in and like basically paying the legal fees and like a lot of the people in the community, but it's just like, is this the best content that we have in the entire space, BitBoy? And I'm not saying that his content isn't good, but it's like, these are the people, these are the actors, and it's not just him. There's a lot of other people that sue small businesses and in like individuals that can't defend themselves. It's so fucked up and no one talks about it. It's always swept under the rug. Like I hear everything that happens in this space, like all the what people are really up to and who they actually are online. And I don't want to be, and I'm not different from if you met me in real life to who I am online, to who I'm on my podcast. I think having like multiple faces of who you are is such bullshit. And it's like, it's just dumb. Anyway, but I think like the bear market's a good time to build. And that's why I was like, I'm going to work with Cash App and build a really sick podcast, especially for women, but not in a way that's like, rah I have a female podcast and like that's my unique selling point, because I think that more it's going to be broader than that, and it's going to be making culture happen in this space, which we kind of saw in the last bull market, but we didn't fully get there. I think everyone's like, we're one cycle away from
Exactly.
we're always one cycle away.
Always. It's like for how many years now? One cycle.
I don't know, but maybe the next one.
Yeah.
When do
I
you
heard that a lot.
When do you think we're coming back?
I think I think this is just somebody called it a spring cleaning. I don't think it's Game of Thrones, crypto winter, winter's coming kind of thing. No, I don't believe, not this time.
So
There's too many people.
When do we come out of the spring cleaning of sorts then?
I honestly think we see something by the end of the year. I'm not really even worried though. Like, I don't know, like I'm not worried about Bitcoin and its future. I'm not worried about any of it. Like, I'm looking 5 years down the line, 10 years. Maybe that's because, like, again, I've matured within the space. I understand it as bigger than gains to me now. Like, it's about what it's doing that's more interesting now than anything else. I know people will be like, well, you're saying that, and yeah, there's gains. Like, I understand the gains aspect, but I'm just saying, like, now I'm at a point in my life where I see what it's doing, where it's opening up doors for people that don't have an opportunity, that can now have an opportunity.
Yes, but I also do, the market does matter at the end of the day. I mean, people come into this space when it's doing well. Like, it adds a little bit of a validity to it. And I think the hard thing during this bear market is watching so many scams, lawsuits, like losses, people get totally drained out of their life savings happen. And it's like, yeah, it's helping people, but it's also hurting people. And I think you have to acknowledge both of those things. Both of those things can be true at the same time, right?
Well, why are you coming into the space?
You mean like them as a
yeah, like the first time person is coming into the space, and we'll talk about this. They're coming into the space obviously to make gains, and I'm not against that.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. And I think we need to stop like shaming people. It's like they want to make money. Fine. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make money, like in space. Not everyone doesn't have to be like this ideological purist where you're, always like fighting for the right thing and you're here because you believe in the tech of it all. And like, yeah, a lot of us do believe that, and it can be both things. Like, I just think people get lost in the sauce,
I'm the black sheep. Like, I'm like, I think if I was a Bitcoin maxi, like, people would love me because, like, I'd fit right in, and I don't fit into the narrative because I have my own thought process, and I appreciate anybody that has theirs as well. Like, I just don't, like, when I came in, I was like, these OGs like literally explained everything to me without being toxic. Like, they would just explain it. Listen, we went to school and we had teachers that were like mean to us in a way, but like they didn't scream at us, they didn't throw a book at us. And almost like, I feel like the culture, I don't know, within the last 2 years shifted that way, where like what's Bitcoin about? Doesn't matter. You'll be in it in 5 years. Like, what? Like, did I
Yeah.
miss something? Like, why are you so angry? Like,
Yeah, it's a little sick. Like I don't know who put it out. I think it was Zach Vol. He put out a funny tweet that was like Bitcoiners 7 years ago were like buying drugs on the Silk Road, and now it's like don't buy Ethereum because it's potentially a security. Like it's like they're so in your, it used to be like freedom, buy whatever you want, like hallucinogenics, like live your life on the Silk Road, and now it's like how dare you touch that NFT. You know what I mean? It's like kind of crazy. But I agree with you. I mean, the toxic Bitcoin maximalist behavior, like it pushed me not away from Bitcoin itself, but around wanting to really associate with those people. And I think a lot of it is in many ways, like I love Bitcoin and always will be number one. It's the thing I believe in the most. And like still to this day, if anyone like describes me, I mean, people would say she's a Bitcoiner probably. But it's not to say that I don't own NFTs or I don't think that DeFi is important, but I gotta be honest with myself, and like sitting there and just talking about the same narrative. They're so dry over and over again. Like Bitcoin can be great and it can also be simple. Like we
I totally agree with
don't
that.
have
Like,
to beat a dead horse. It's like cool, it's sick. Like I think
but what are
most
we doing? It's like social media, but nobody's actually going out there and doing grassroots. Like, I don't want to say nobody.
not true,
Only a
not true.
few. Only a few.
I'm a part of like the Harlem Bitcoin
I
community.
saw that.
And
Congratulations.
it's super sick. And there's like meetups. And that was actually one of the most inspiring things that I've done in Bitcoin in a long time. Like going to a meetup where people are hearing about Bitcoin for the first time and they're learning. It's so cool to watch people. Number one, it's in person, right? It's like up in Harlem, like small team of people are putting this together every week and teaching lessons sort of about like 101 stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's so cool to watch people feel like they got a shot out of a really shitty system, especially up in Harlem. That like honestly brought goosebumps. Like I was like moved watching that. That was cool. The shit on Twitter, dumb as fuck. It's so dumb. And it's when you have moments like that where you really see it on a grassroots level that is inspiring. And I want to be more a part of things like that than sitting here and fighting each other. It's like the community is eating itself sometimes. And it's because everyone's down bad, if we're being honest. When the markets are bad, everyone fights. It's like,
but everybody still is a little, like, everybody still comes off like a little, excuse my language, but like a little bitch when, like, even when the markets are up, people just find things to bitch about. Like, we're never happy and satisfied.
Yeah, I think that's like Twitter in itself, but I also think that it's like a bunch of egos too, right?
It's true. Like, but egos online, like we walk out there, people might notice us, but only if they know anything about cryptocurrency. Outside of that, nobody knows who you are. Like, I'm just being honest.
Yeah, totally. I think that people don't even, it's just like you see these same people okay. Example, I saw this guy who was like a dick to me when I first started out in crypto. I think we had each other blocked. Saw him at a conference, saw him at Bitcoin 2022. Was like, oh, hey, I think we got in a fight a few years ago. Yeah, nice to meet. And it's like, what?
You remember that though. You know who he was right away.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm pretty sure he sent me like a death threat. Like, but then these people that's how insane people are. Like, they'll just say whatever the fuck online. And he's like, yeah, I'll give you a follow back. Like, I was like, didn't you like physically threaten me or something years ago? What the hell? Like, the people are, that's why I think people can't take it like too seriously. But at the same time, that's all people spend their time doing. Every day CT like starts at I mean, it never shuts off, but like everyone gets on there, they're jumping on whatever like the latest thing is, and it's just the same thing over and over again. And like I'm kind of a little tapped out on it, to be honest. Like it's just what's the new narrative besides like anything bad happening with like Avalanche that was last week. Some fucking exchange breaking down. Like it's the same stuff. Someone suing someone. It's not, none of the news is positive right now.
So like my thing is like, it's really super important to have, somebody like yourself going out there producing a show and getting away from mainstream media, because if you read anything that they put out, it's constantly negative. They don't know the space like we know it. And
Yeah.
you have the opportunity to go ahead and just present, here you go. And it's the same way I spoke about it in spaces today. I was like, I'll go ahead and give you, like, I have a media company. I'm just giving you this educational material. You do what you want with it. Like, I'm not steering
Yeah.
you in any direction. You do as you wish. And I feel like the more shows we have like that are good, that come out with that, the better it'll be for our space. I can't watch mainstream media. I'm telling you, like, the narratives that are put out by them, again, they don't know Bitcoin.
But
They
so
don't
what
know
do you do when you
cryptocurrency.
go on Fox? Like then what, like
It's
you
their
go,
narrative. Like, it's
okay, so
real.
give like, so you
Like,
don't,
those, it's just, hey, what's Bitcoin? Like, what is it going to do? And where's it going? Like, let's talk about what it's doing. Like, who is it helping? Like, let's dive deep into it. Like, there's just this freaking narrative, Aubrey. Like, that honestly, like, I'm not feeling. That's why I decline them. I'm not just talking about Fox News. Whoever reaches out, I'm like, no, you know what? I'd rather report it.
So you don't do interviews anymore? Broadcast?
Done.
Really?
Done.
Because
Done.
they don't cover it in the right light?
Correct.
Damn.
They don't. I feel like the 1% owns them.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
they're gonna come out with their own narratives, and that's it. Like, they don't know any. Like, you have this article that came out from Rolling Stone today about how Bitcoin has been a failure for El Salvador, which is, how are you judging El Salvador based on a year? Ooh,
I gotta see.
Really? You pull it up, you'll see it.
Okay. First of all, this was 3 days ago. Okay, so damn, that's a pretty bad, but also, is it a little bit true though? Like, a country adopting Bitcoin at the top come on, like, is there like a little validity to it? Like, can we be impartial?
Fine. And I am super unbiased, even though people think I'm biased. I can give it 3-4 years, and then we could talk about it. But we're like so quick. Literally, they took it on as legal tender, and 2 days later, it was a failure. Like, it was like give it some time. Like, if it doesn't work out, then we have data to go ahead and base, like, a different country, a Latin American country, will have something to go on based on El Salvador's failure. What if they succeed? What if something there happens to go the right way? Their bonds failed, but, like, what if something happens to go the right way? We can take the positives out of it, and then make sure that we don't fail the next time going forward. I don't know. Like, I just want to see people win at the end of the day. And I would love to see El Salvador fix that monetary system, but I know where you're coming from. And I know exactly what you're trying to point out. Yeah, I wish they would have bought in at 3,000, 4,000. Unfortunately, yeah. From another standpoint, he went ahead and got into Bitcoin, the president, and look at the focus that he received. Like, look at that attention that he got from just getting into Bitcoin. I also think it was a marketing play at the same time. I'm not going to sit here and be like dumb to it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I guess there's no one's ever been like, there's a wrong time to get in, because I remember when which I guess is like the top now, I had a friend that got in the last cycle and like bought a lot, and was like, everyone was laughing at her and was like, LOL. But then it's all in relation to time, right? So when it was like 69,000, you look smart. When it's 20,000, you look dumb. So it's all relative. That's what history is anyway, right? History and data sets, it's all skewed based on a time horizon. So a week, a day, 6 months, how history perceives anything is always, after, like, even presidents, they're like, their legacy is not defined 4 years when they're out of office. It's about like 20 years when you see the implications of whatever, financial policies that they push forward, or wars, or anything. Is what it is contingent on, and it's just not been around long enough for it to be. I mean, Bitcoin itself hasn't been around long enough to be judged. I don't know when the final judgment day is for Bitcoin or crypto in general. If, like, was this a failure? Was this a success in the eyes of the public? But I I can imagine that it's a little bit longer than the current time frame, since 2009. So
Do you do you think that people with the toxicity in the space, I heard you speaking about it. Do you think with the toxicity in this space, do you think it will start getting people to, I guess, I would say, get away from Bitcoin and start looking at other things like Ethereum,
you think
like
that
the XRPs or whatnot?
like are the people in crypto going to push away people? Is that what you're asking?
No, no, I would, yeah, like the Bitcoin toxic maxis, will
Yeah.
they end up pushing people away and forcing them, not forcing them, but pushing them into things like Ethereum, XRP? I'm just throwing XRP out there. It's the first thing that's popping up in my head. I get it. I'm just saying XRP, that not Solana. I don't know, whatever else competes with Bitcoin. There's really nothing that competes with Bitcoin, but those things that are always in the conversation,
Yeah.
could they be pushing them away towards those protocols?
Let's be honest. The toxic Bitcoin community is getting smaller and smaller day by day. And I
Okay.
don't think that the mainstream public will really remember most of these toxic people. Will they always exist in this purest, like cult like form? Probably. There's always like the problem thing is like they're just the loudest people in the room right now. But I'm friends with a lot of Bitcoiners who are like Bitcoin moderates. And I think there's this new era of Bitcoin moderates that come in that see Bitcoin as like obviously what they believe in, and the hardest money that's available, and are excited about it and believe that it is the future, while simultaneously believing that in the future digital asset ownership or decentralized finance will be a part of how we interact with each other. Like both of those things can be true. And I think you'll see more people doing that. Like right now, I advise a company called Trust Machines, which is trying to build the largest ecosystem of decentralized Bitcoin applications on Bitcoin. And I think building on Bitcoin too as a narrative will be something that's important, right? We had like Bitcoiners, I think, lean too hard on a store of value and payments in both cycles. So back in the 2017, 2018 era, it was like Bitcoin is payments for the, underbanked or unbanked. Then it was like, no, Bitcoin's not payments. Don't ever sell your Bitcoin. It's store of value. Like, don't do that. Blah, blah, blah. It's awful. Never sell your Bitcoin. Never buy anything else. And now I think there's going to be another wave that's like Bitcoin, because of proof of work, is the strongest, like most decentralized infrastructure to build on. And whether that be like with Lightning or a side chain or some other like layer two, that only adds value to the network and doesn't detract from it. Obviously, it's not changing the network itself, but you're allowed to interact with it and create things that are interesting. Like Hal Finney was into NFTs in 1993. He wrote about like you'll have like digital trading cards, and that will be something that's interesting. Like that already happens in video games in many ways. And I know people have tried to do that in the NFT space of like, let's like now why don't you actually physically own that? But I don't think Web3 is like ready yet, right? There's so much spam right now. You saw that with like Tornado Cash, like the consent mechanisms are wrong. There's too much spam. Like you could basically spam people's wallets, like you saw with Tornado Cash and people who have like public ENS names. Like the way we're interacting with it's not right. That doesn't mean it's wrong. It's like anything is just you kind of reiterate, right? You're just like refining and refining and refining until you get something that looks a lot more like what you want. And that happened with social media too. Like MySpace isn't around, but that doesn't mean MySpace wasn't valuable to become like a Facebook, that become a Twitter, to become an Instagram, become a TikTok, a Vine. Like all these things iterate on each other. And it's like stepping stones to where you're going to get. We're just not at like the final stage of it. And I don't think maybe there will ever be a final stage. I think everything just evolves over time. And people are like upset because you're not at the end. You're sort of like in the middle of building. So, I mean, I think
we're in the AOL stage.
What?
I think we're in the AOL stage.
Yeah, everyone has said that for a while. Like it feels like early 90s. I mean, there's so many cool things I think about the internet that I've forgotten about, like that we don't use, that we thought we were going to use. Like remember you use Blue Mountain e-cards where you would like
Oh
send
my
someone
God.
like an like before you would send people birthday cards, you're like, we're gonna send people like, you know, digital cards, and people would buy them on the internet and send each other like a birthday card that was like animated, and that was cool. It doesn't mean there wasn't value there. Like people really enjoyed that. Did it take off forever? No, but that doesn't mean like some of these things it'll just evolve over time, you know?
For sure. For sure.
Napster, like you wouldn't have Spotify if you didn't have Napster. You wouldn't have so many other platforms if you didn't have the earlier version of it.
Wouldn't have LimeWire and viruses on your computer if you didn't try it, right? Like, just
Yeah, everyone destroyed I bet everyone in crypto destroyed their family computer for sure.
100%. Like
I was
I'm like,
always on my family computer. I was always doing that. I always loved tech though. I had the dial-up internet where like, you know, you had dial-up and someone would be on the phone and be like,
yeah, yeah.
get off the phone.
Get
Like
off the phone.
I need to make a phone call. And then they'd like
Yeah.
ruin your whole whatever you were doing. And sometimes your computer would just straight up black out because it was computing too hard and you were like, well, gotta start fresh. You didn't save that? Oh shit. Well, it's totally gone. It was like an absolute nightmare. These
I
kids
used to be angry, like for anybody who has never had a modem, like anybody will pick up the phone and like I'm in the AOL chat room that I try to get into like for hours.
oh
And
god,
he
which
picks up
chat
the
rooms
phone.
were you in? I feel like
It's exactly like it was only 23 people allowed. It was always like the AOL Italian room or like whatever. It was just like some sort of room that I was trying to get into, and I take like a piece of paper, put it on the enter button, and make sure that thing was like going enter enter. These are hacks, guys. Back in the day,
you
hacks.
remember, do you remember ASL when you would get into a chat room and it'd be like age,
Yeah, yeah,
sex, location?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
such a funny
That's
thing.
gone.
I know.
That's gone. Now it's like how much Bitcoin you got?
Which you should never tell anyone. ASL,
Never.
I would never, and then you'd always lie, you'd like make up some weird shit. I'd be like 21, Las Vegas, and like literally 10 years old.
I don't know what like yo, honestly, like that first of all, that's messed up.
No, it
That's
was just
messed up.
funny. Well, because you were
But
not
like
on name, because you just had like
okay,
no only you didn't have a photo, and you also you had like a random screen name, so you could just go into multiple chat rooms and just make up
sure.
multiple things.
And yeah, the capitalized screen name, like you were cool,
Yeah, but
like
I would like, but was I ever going to tell someone I was like 12 and in
no,
Arizona? That's so weird. Even though everyone was
no.
like 12 years, I mean, or like 15, like you're not going to tell people that.
That's a Chris Hansen special.
Yeah, never.
I was go I was gonna say like so like me watching you from the sidelines. And I like if I don't like if I don't like a tweet or if I don't retweet, that doesn't mean I don't like the person. I actually just observe from the sidelines and like and I'm like a and I like clap for people that are doing just well and like grinding away to go ahead and create dope shit.
Yeah.
So like my whole thing is like I would never know Lolly if it wasn't for you. Like no disrespect to anybody with Lolly. I'm just saying if it wasn't for you, I'd never know about Lolly. So here you are, like I know you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we mentioned the podcast earlier,
Yeah.
which went, into a whole sports vibe. And potentially there could have been the potential there for, like real hard-hitting sports talk that's not out there. But now, like,
Wait till football season. I'm going to bring it on my show.
yeah, that
I'm bringing it on the observation. So
you should have seen. I mean, but it's gonna be sad for me because the Giants just completely suck this year. But all right, so you have Lolly. You're
yeah.
doing big things in the space. Like I'm watching. Like I know you for Lolly, and then I'm sure you're getting paid well. I don't care to know, but I'm sure like you in that position, you being known everywhere, like you're getting paid well, and then you just like I felt like you just got up and said, yo, I'm doing my own thing. I knew, like I saw the observation, like I saw the Twitter account in your in the headline or in your bio.
Yeah.
What was it like? What did you just say? What made you say, you know what, fuck it, I'm getting up, I'm doing my own thing?
I'm going to try to say this in the nicest way. I don't think I was actually getting paid probably what people thought I was being paid to bring in that much value. And it was, I never felt like it really got met. And when you do, a piece of advice I'll give like anyone at any job is like, if you really bring in crazy amount of value and people don't see it, or they don't realize like what you've done for their company or something like that, you kind of just have to walk, and you got to stand up for yourself and know what you're worth. And I always knew that. And I really love Lolly and I love the team there, but at the end of the day, I don't think they could have ever, I don't think there's a number that you could put on the value that I brought into the company during that time and building that brand. And at that point, like, I was almost like, I mean, being a face of a company like that when you're not the CEO feels weird, right? Because you make something famous that you obviously had equity in and still have equity in, and so it's like beneficial, but when it like doesn't feel right, and you're like, yeah. And like I worked on getting like, I definitely got raises during the time I was there and stuff, but I never felt like pretty adequate of what I think I did for that company. And I still advise for them. So like, we're on good terms, but I was just like, I need to do my own thing. And I think that's kind of lends itself to the attitude of this space, right? It's like the individual. And I would love to work for, and I still like to like consult for companies, and they allowed me to consult for other companies while I was there. But it's really hard to launch something on your own and work full time for a company. So I just like, fuck it, you bet on yourself. And I think I've always done that in my life, and it's always turned out pretty well for me. So I'm just going to continue to do that. And I think like the piece of advice that I have for people is like, I think it applies to relationships too. It applies to your personal life. It applies to work. When you don't feel, and it's not like, and I mean this in a way of like, I'm always very committed to what I do, but there's a point when if it doesn't work and you're not feeling like your value is met and no one's ever seen that, walk. Yeah. They're not going to, because if they don't see it now, they're never really going to see it like 100%. on any platform. So you just
can't convince people.
If people should, whatever you're doing, it should always be a hell yes. Like people should always be a hell yes about you. And that should be backed monetarily. Like it should not just be, we love the work that you do. It's great. Like I don't need praise. I need compensation. So, so if you're not feeling that way, something I'm doing in this space with like a lot of women, they're like, it's very difficult sometimes for them to negotiate for themselves, and they don't know what other people are making in this space. So a lot of times I'll meet women in New York and like get coffee or lunch or dinner, and then talk to them about where they're at, and then connect them to a better job, because I'm like, fuck that. I see people like I know what these companies make in crypto, and I know how much money is coming in the door, especially during the bull market, and a lot of people, what people raised. There's no reason that, people should be paid in New York City, where it's even more expensive to live right now. There's no way that people should be getting some of the paychecks that they get. So I'm like, nah, it's not working for me. Shouldn't be working for you. So let me help you find a new job.
First of all, obviously Unfiltered. So it's like, we appreciate when people, like yourself just now, speak out and just like, this is the kind of shit that I'm looking for. I see you leave Lolly, and like I said, I see you like as the face, like you are the face, you leave. I'm like, hold up. You just left. So I have a different perception of the whole thing. I'm like, holy shit, she just literally said, peace out, I'm doing my own thing, and you bet on yourself, which I love when people go ahead and bet on themselves. And then I see you in cans and shit. Like I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, yo, like if you're not watching, if you think that you can't do something, just like watch people like yourself. Like, yo, I sat back, I was like, wow, she's in fucking cans right now.
Well, that was like one of the first like pieces of content. We haven't even put out that episode. Like I want to make a lot of vlog content, but that's the cool thing in like crypto and culture that people don't get to see. Like my friend Emily Yang, people pleaser, one of the largest NFT female creators in the space, created the 75th anniversary NFT for Cannes Film Festival. And it was the sickest thing. Like I've one of the coolest things I've ever done, going there and like following her and supporting her journey. And like them inviting like a handful of people out to go experience that in crypto. The fact that people in this space walk the red carpet doesn't get covered. What instead gets covered is like all the bad stuff that's happening. So there's really cool stuff, and that is interesting. And like having that 75th like memento in a sense of being at the Cannes Film Festival is iconic. And even just sitting there, it was like crazy. Like Bella Hadid was right behind me on the red carpet. I was like, the crypto is just an insane industry. It just changes your life in so many ways. And you have so many surreal experiences and you're like, what is going on here? This is insane, you know?
Like, do you feel like you made it now? Like, do you feel like, no, sir, did you have that moment? There has to be like, I know you're humble and stuff, but I'm just saying, like, was there a moment where you said like, all right, I'm here?
I think financially there was that moment for me where I was like, whoa, you know, that's insane. But from like just investing personally. But then I think that,
No,
yeah,
yourself. No, yourself. Forget about financially. I'm talking about yourself. Like,
I think when I got the offers, so for the podcast, for example, like I had offers from Coinbase, FTX. I don't even know where we got on stages of offers, and then Cash App, where they put a lot of money behind betting on me as a person, which was a big compliment. And it's not really about the money, right, in itself. It's the vote of confidence that we believe this person. There's like there's no show that I'm not selling like a show that already exists. I'm selling a show that's going to exist, that I'm going to build over time. Yeah. And that was really cool because I mean, Cash App's $1 billion company. It's like insane to have that kind of sponsorship from just growing a profile online on Twitter, if that, you know, not that Twitter's like a lesser platform, but it's almost people don't building an audience on Twitter is hard because you really gotta get it, you know, and it's just all your mind and your what you think, and if you're funny and like articles you write and whatever, engaging with others in conversation. So I just thought like if I can do that on Twitter, I'm pretty sure I can do that in a visual setting. And so that was really cool. That was like a moment where I was really proud. And I think it's also just so weird too, I was trying to explain to my parents, you know, like there's just, I think they're so confused on why any of this stuff happens. And it's just hard to explain, but my family's really proud of me, and my friends are really proud of me, and a great group of people here in New York City that I like love. And so, and that's cool to have that kind of support, honestly.
I feel like you're more of a New Yorker than I am. Like
I am.
Like, yeah, you definitely are more of a New Yorker than I am. And I was born and raised in New York. So like, I just like watch you just like always filming or taking shots out in the city.
Why do you feel like I'm more of a New Yorker than you?
I guess I don't know. You appreciate New York. Like not that I don't. It's just that you seem to really appreciate New York. Like even like the cracks on the sidewalk or something. Like, I don't know. You seem to appreciate that moment where me, not so much. Like, really? I guess I'm too used to it and stuff. So it's just, it's nice to see people and like, yeah, you enjoy it. God bless you. I was going to ask you, well, you went into this subject about NFTs. What's your stance on NFTs? Is it vaporware, as we're being told, or because I believe in NFTs, it's more than just art for me personally, because I believe there's real tech, but 2-3 years down the line, we'll see it. But where do you stand on NFTs? And anybody tells me anything otherwise, I could just say real quick, I was a speaker at NFT NYC. First of all, New York, get your shit together, because it was horrible.
Why? What happened?
Like I thought, like honestly, like I don't know what's happening to the city in Times Square. It was a
Uh,
little bit different. My
well, sorry,
perception
you're
was
always
different.
out. You're out vacationing in Montauk, so I guess you don't realize like what the city's really
Wow,
like
because
these
I
days.
can't win with, but
No.
yeah, I was there. It was really cool though. Like you said, when you meet people like in person, like there's none of that talk. Nobody, like none of that internet talk leads or leaks out into the real world because like everybody's trying to shake your hand. What's going on? Can I present a project to you? Da 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 da,
Yeah.
etc. But a lot of people from like Audi and like people like from Web 2 or the corporate world were like, yo, we're trying to get into Web 3 NFTs, da 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 da. Can we speak to you? Da da da. So I really do feel like obviously with Nike, Adidas, Puma, like a bunch of these uh companies are in it. What do you feel about NFTs and where it could potentially go? Or do you see it as just like a 15-minute kind of thing and we're done and we're moving along to the next?
I have a divided stance on NFTs because I do feel like there was so many shitty PFP projects that the art wasn't original. Most of those PFP projects are probably going to zero. There's probably a handful that will have sustained value. Like I mean, I've still gotten into NFTs during the bear, like big crypto dick butt enthusiast. um and it's up. It's I mean, I got in a good price and I think the floor is at like 3 or 4 ETH. But anyway, um I while like again, both things can be true. Like these PFP projects do feel like what I saw with the ICOs. Like it's basically some of them are like shit coins with a
Yeah.
picture, and then other ones are like really cool. Like I'm doing some cool activations coming up for the US Open that's doing like their Web3 thing that I probably can't say what brand's working with it, but like I'll be doing that with them there.
Yeah.
And so there's, I think that everyone wants a strategy and maybe they don't have like a really well thought out strategy. And I actually had this TikTok clip go viral last week where I was kind of roasting it a little bit because my friend was like talking about POAPs and stuff, and she's like, "This is how you know you met someone in real life." And I'm like, "So a business card," and then she was like, and then you get discounts when you have this NFT in the store. And I'm like, so loyalty membership. Like, are we just reinventing the same thing? It needs to have some uniqueness to make it interesting for these brands. Like the strategy needs to be a little bit more well thought out. The other problem is a lot of the people that you want to interact with, your customers, probably don't have MetaMask or an Ethereum wallet
Sure.
where they can use that. So then they're like, you're asking them number one, two, to participate in something new, but also set up a wallet. And I think when more people have more wallets, then it works better. And then once you have a better strategy, it's better if you're on the corporate side. If we're just talking about NFTs plainly, like I enjoy collecting pieces of art that are in my wallet and that I can share or trade or send to people. I think that there is future for that, but I don't personally, I rather have artwork on my wall. Like I'm but it is cool to have like some sick NFTs. There's some NFTs I will never sell that I have like personal attachment to that I love and then I'm keeping forever and I don't really give a shit where they go. But it's a little tough. But also like things like pseudo swap, which has like popped up pretty much and
Yeah.
like it's now valued. I don't even know. Last week it was like valued at like 3 mil, but there was no like traction a month prior, pretty much.
Yeah.
And like that in NFTs kind of sucks because they're not paying royalties. So it's
Yeah.
like, we've created NFTs. Well, NFTs have been around for a while, but creators, the whole like angle for a creator, an artist to come in and create an NFT was to have a better structure of paying royalties down the line. So what does that mean? Do they have like a higher mint up front because they're not going to be paid royalties because of things like a pseudo swap? So again, we're still like very new. I think digital ownership is important. Everyone's in the metaverse. They're already interacting in ways without owning their data, without owning their assets, but we haven't gotten to like the final or best stage of what NFTs will enable, I believe. And it's not going to be just PFP projects.
I like one of ones. You know, like if
Yeah.
like you're in New York City, right? So like all these artists, they get like really gypped. Like I've been going to art galleries since I was little. Like I was fortunate enough to have parents that would like take me every Saturday, Friday and Saturdays. I remember just going to the city and like boom, my mom was really into like art, and here we go. Art gallery, really cool, looking at all these pieces. I didn't know that, they would take home only 30% of the whole entire thing
Yeah.
after all was said and done. That's crazy. So now
Yeah.
they have an opportunity in the NFT world to, you create an NFT with a tangible asset. Now they're making money and they have a career. Like that's kind of where I'm looking with NFTs, not these Fiverr created 10,000 PFPs, that look like crap, and like people are just, FOMO into any of these projects to get the next punk or to get the next ape.
Yeah, totally. And speaking of like one-on-ones, like helped out with my friend Logan's project. He's doing like the 99 originals, and I was like in one of those Polaroids that is part of a DAO, and that people will have like unique ownership, and there's cool perks with each of these NFTs in this community, very similar to what Gary Vee set up his with like V friends, and that's a strong community. If you can build that, then you're in a good spot. But like if you're like that's a cool thing where you feel like you have an individual identity within that community, within that DAO, which is
Sure.
cool for people who are into that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, when one-on-ones are sick, like there's some really sick artists out there that I follow them on Instagram. I love their shit. Like it's very futuristic, like Dune. You know the movie Dune?
Yeah.
Done. I don't know how to pronounce Dune.
You got it right.
It's just so cool and like almost like earthy, futuristic style. So sick. Love that. Like I wish I had like a list of my favorite people that I follow, but so I could show them. But I follow like their Instagram accounts, and they just make so many sick like one-of-one pieces of art that I'm like, damn. And they're animated and visual, and like you can interact with them. So those are the things that I like.
After this topic, there's 2-3 more things and that I want to touch on. Regulation. What are your thoughts? When I came into this entire industry, everybody's like free market, free market, free market, and now all I hear is from the same people, by the way, or for the most part from the same people. It's we need regulation. We need regulation. We need it. We definitely need it now. We need regulation. Your thoughts? Free market, regulation. Which one?
Free market, but I do think eventually regulation will come in some form, and it's probably going to be, if we don't get involved right now, not what we're looking for. And that's why I'm actually talking with a few groups in DC to try to help actually the aides, not even really the politicians, because they don't write a lot of the bills in this country, and they're not, it's more of like meeting meeting state leaders, but also meeting people down in DC that can understand. And there's actually a lot of politicians that are trying to become crypto literate. And so obviously there's people like Coin Center's been doing this for a long time, but there's also, because it's an election year, there's a lot of different groups that want the crypto vote, which is interesting. For the first time, you're hearing that. I'm having people come up to me and being like, there's going to be so many politicians that want to come on your podcast. I was like, I'm not partial. I'm not taking any politicians, number one, to come on my podcast is to shill or like get votes to get back in for like the crypto community. Like absolutely not. But they know how strong the community is for people that are crypto friendly and create regulatory frameworks that are advantageous to this industry. So because the infrastructure bill mobilization that happened, where people were calling their senators, like crypto, Twitter has so much power. And I think DC knows that now. And they're seeing that. And it's also a bipartisan issue where the people, for different reasons on both sides, can have takes on this industry. And I think that'll be really interesting to see play out in the next few years. But regulation and free markets.
All right. My third magazine, I think it was my second magazine 5 years ago, was about women in crypto. because I felt
Third man.
now you can feel however you want to feel about the topic, but I feel this is where I stand.
Hit me.
I feel like the more women we get into this space, the better, because men are just not mature enough to hang around together and push this place to the next level. I'm gonna get shit for this, but it's the truth. I grew up around 95% of my family members are women. So I know that we men, just accept the fact. We're not as mature as women. It's fact. Scientific fact, data. So like I'm glad to see more women coming into the space. I feel like though there's still not enough. Where do you stand on that? Do you think you can correct me if I'm wrong? Do we have enough women in the space? Do we need more women in the space? And when I'm talking about more women in the space, most of the women that I do follow actually drop knowledge. Like they drop alpha. They're bringing something to the table. I'm not talking about the photo shoots. I'm talking about women that actually go up, type something, okay, that makes sense or gives you that aha moment. I'm not looking for Instagram models. I'm talking about people that actually bring something to the table. Your thoughts on that?
Okay. I have a lot of thoughts. So first question is, do we have enough women in the space? Is that the...
Are we doing everything possible to get women into this space? Or giving them a platform?
I think that the women who are currently in this space should be treated better. And I think you treat women better in this space and more women will want to be in this space. It's almost like a retention, right? There's turnover of, I don't even want to be in this space anymore because I don't feel like I'm A, treated well, B, heard, C, taken seriously, D, whatever. It's just not where people want to be because they don't feel like any community. We talk about building community. Do women feel comfortable in the crypto community? Take fucking NFT project, fuck a protocol. Do they feel comfortable just interacting here at a conference, at whatever? I'd say you probably get a mixed bag. You get some women that feel really good. They have really good interactions. And then it all depends on where they're working, or what projects. There's some people that will get a really bad experience. And unfortunately, that's a lot of the times what you hear when you hear those like bad companies, bad actors, bad whatever experiences at a conference. That's the times that you hear these stories of like women being treated like shit or like them not wanting to be in crypto, because there is a lot of misogyny in crypto. There is, and you can't deny it. Really. And it's just something that exists that we all need to sort of be aware of. But at the same time, like women also, there's a lot of women too that like I think want to take advantage of the fact that all these men don't have like girlfriends and they're making it an Instagram photo shoot. But like I don't know, everyone hustles in their own way. If those women want to hustle in that way, like the other dudes scam people all the time, and women are just doing the same thing in a different platform, different way of going about it. But that I think that's all to say that we do need more women for adoption sake. But I don't know, if people don't want to work in this space, if it's finance is still to this day heavily masculine, heavily male. You look at employees at any investment bank and it's mostly men. And sometimes that's just an interest-based thing. You look at a lot of fashion industries and a lot of it is mostly women, and like men are the minority. I don't think anyone's like, we need more men in here. It's just kind of what it is, things evolve and you get the people that are attracted to those things naturally. But I think we need to make women feel welcome and not feel like objectified or like treated like shit. I mean, that's a start. But there's a lot of really smart women in this space doing a lot of really great things, and really funny women. And I don't think it has to be all about how women look. Can be a lot of other traits.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's what they like. Like I'm looking for. Like I said, like I feel like our space has matured with the amount of women that have come into the space that actually know what they're talking about. At the end of the day, it's not, I'm talking about, forget about the Instagram models, because I'm talking about people like some of my favorite follows are women who know the drop in knowledge
Yeah.
versus all the little kids running
That
around.
should be anyone's follow. Like, what value? It doesn't even matter who they are. Do they bring value? Are you interested in what they have to say?
I know it's a touchy subject because I say women, it's like, yo, I want, but don't identify me like that because I want to be a part of, and I get that. So I understand that, but I particularly wanted to focus on it because it's like it is really like it's one of those things that like I feel like the space matures with more women coming into the space and having a platform to go ahead and speak on without getting, like you said, shitted on and making people feel uncomfortable being here. But that's because we have a lot of, I'll say it, it doesn't matter. We have a lot of boys running around. Speaking of little boys, Andrew Tate, what is your take on Tate?
Oh God. I think that he just marketed ideas to people that just like you said, you have really bad takes and you get attention. And so I don't know the guy personally. If I probably wouldn't get along with him, whatever. The deplatforming is a tough subject because I'm really for like laissez-faire policies in tech, in finance, in everything. I want the government like away from me as far as possible. And that includes like, but it's hard with private companies, right? If you align with their policies, they can boot you off. And so you kind of have to abide by them. And then they keep on a lot of people that you wouldn't agree with. So I think there was probably a lot of internal force from these private companies to boot him out. Personally, I just think that anything about like treating women like property or treating anyone like property, any demographic group of like literally anyone is not okay. And you can't really say that. And so that's probably at the end of the day why he was booted out. And I don't know. I don't really respect. I don't know why men worship dudes like that. It's like it's not even cool. He doesn't even look. And if we're going to go back to looks and stuff to men the opposite way, never mind. I'm not even going to
do it.
No,
you got to do it.
It's not even worth it. It's not even worth it. But it's like, this is peak masculinity. Please, like, no. But he has all these like hateful dudes that are so disgruntled that fight for him. It's this pyramid scheme. He created a cult. Dude created a cult.
Do I agree with like him saying like get off your, you men should get off your ass and work out and like, do something like he says one or two things and like, yeah, go work out, man. Disconnect from the internet. There's life out there. There's green like grass, like you can touch it and like, and then hit the gym. Like it's okay. Like but when he goes and refers to women as just like, just a piece of meat and stuff like that, like I was like, I don't like this guy. Like 97% of the stuff that comes out of his mouth, I just don't like it. Yeah. I have no way of avoiding him because on TikTok and on YouTube, I'm trying to like listen to Jordan Peterson, David Goggins, and this guy comes on talking about some reckless shit. And I'm like, I don't agree with this dude. And I'm a dude, like, I don't agree with him. I don't agree with anybody getting their platform taken away. Yeah. But like by doing that, by taking away his platform, all you did was you gave people a way to get more interested in him. Like he would have fizzled out by 2023. Nobody would have known about him. The only problem with him though that I didn't like is that there are young boys out there that will hear him and get this confidence to come up to a woman and they come up to a woman and she rejects them. Yeah. Now it becomes violent. Yeah. Because now it's like, oh, I did what Tate did. And Tate said, do this, that, and the third. I come up, I did it, and she rejected me. I'm going to get her back. And that's where I think with him, his message is a little bit off. So I ain't like it. You talk about Elon a lot. Well, at least I watched your show where you talked about Elon. Are you a fan or are you in the middle with him somewhere?
I think Elon is good for America. I think that he's very interesting with his like the underpopulation thing. But what I talked about was his idea that the world has a population crisis and that therefore he's like impregnating all these women. And Elon is like the most uncancelable person I think I've ever met, because like in no other industry could you like fuck an employee, get them pregnant, and then be like, I'm saving the world. That's just a crazy spin zone take. But he makes it work because he's running like 3 companies and trying to buy Twitter. I guess that failed, but whatever. And he just gets to kind of do whatever Elon wants to do. It's like his world, everyone's living in it. The only thing there I would say is like it feels like Elon, if we're, I'm not comparing Elon and Andrew Tate, but he has the same sort of like cult male followership the way that Tate did. And I think that at least Elon's is like aspirational, right? He's he's obviously like a very successful entrepreneur, has been for several years, and people are want to emulate that. They want to build things. That's a positive for the world. And while he's controversial, I think he's himself, and I don't think he lets anyone push him around. And I kind of wish other tech CEOs operated that way. Like I wish like Bezos acted that way. It'd be kind of funny.
Sure.
Or like, I mean, Zuckerberg's such a lost cause, but who else? Like I feel like it's fun to see him not give a shit and just rip memes and like rip politicians and people apart. Like it is, I think I kind of like it. Like I think it's better.
I love his shit posting. His shit post game is on point.
So good. I don't love that he just like, I mean, pump whatever you want. The Doge thing was a little odd, to be honest.
Yeah. I think he just like, that's him. Like he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
He has no fucks.
He doesn't. And I think at that point you kind of don't give any fucks. Like his new thing, like having more kids, he's fucking like the richest man in the world. The new flex is how many kids can I have because I can afford all of these children, instead of like, did I buy another private jet? No, did I have like 20 kids to carry on my legacy?
On that, I think he's like so good. He's 4 weeks out before the thing pops off in the media. Like he is already on Twitter letting you guys know, like kind of like people are gonna come after this topic, and then the topic hits on him, and he's like, well, like I'm doing this, so like what are you doing? And it's kind of it's like, yo, like I sit back, I'm like, yo, you guys really don't get it.
But that's when you troll the media, there's no way they can win because the media plays by the old rules and everyone else is like, I mean, to Trump's credit, he would troll the media so hard that they couldn't, I mean, they try to fight back, right? But at the same time, like he would just come at them and was unafraid. And the media hates when you do that. They like to like come down on you, they want you to shut up, and then they want to like own the narrative. But if you stand up to the media like Elon does, like the way Trump did, you become either a villain to them or just you do this real controversial figure. But I'm not advocating for like anything, obviously there's a lot of controversy around Trump and that stuff.
For sure.
He did work that narrative. Like he used Twitter as his voice, and Elon uses Twitter as his personal voice, and that you're hearing directly from him and not some quote that could have been like chopped up to be misconstrued or maybe isn't exactly what he said, but he's misquoted. Then you're constantly playing defense instead of just playing offense all the time.
I hate cancel culture. Like I just remember back in the days when you could say something. Now you can't say anything, but I don't really care. Like you can't be canceled unless you allow them to cancel you, kind of thing. So
I agree. It just keeps showing up.
Last one. So like hit me with the observation. Like tell me, and like everybody who's going to tune in, tell me like, give me like not the short term, but the long term vision for this show.
Ooh, Aubservation is going to be massive. It'll be the biggest crypto YouTube show, I think, in a year and a half. And I think that when the bull market comes back, or if we get out of this spring cleaning, as you said, that people also want to look to someone that they want to be like and have in like, hopefully a lot of women too, that will be fascinated about how this space has evolved. And then I kind of think that it'll be like one of the first if you look like an Emma Chamberlain or someone who is really big on YouTube, it'll probably be an equivalent to something like that. But that really takes crypto mainstream and is on multiple platforms. Like we're on YouTube, but it's also Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Like TikTok is actually growing way faster than any of the other channels, which is crazy. Like those clips go off on there. And that's kind of fun, though I'm not down with the CCP, but but you know,
Are you doing the renegade dances or anything on there or no?
No, it's just clips from the podcast, but those for people who kind of bringing them in. But I think it'll be a massive media company, and you know, I also want to launch some other things down the line too, but it's well, can't announce those yet. So
damn you, yo, I should leave my company. Like
Don't
holy
worry.
shit. Yo, like literally, like I'm honestly like I'm proud to see you like killing it, like seriously. And like my last thing would be like your legacy. What do you want people to say about you at the end of the day? When all is said and done,
Oh, that's a
legacy.
good question.
What is your legacy, Aubrey? Besides not, you know, being disrespectful to New York Giants fans. What is your
Okay.
Aubrey?
God, legacy's so tough. I hope people. This is tough. I hope people say that I was unafraid to go out there and take risks, and that helps them do the same thing, and that like I freed people up by doing those things myself, and sort of shining a light or guiding a way for giving someone like a playbook of you can do this, and if you thought you couldn't, like think again, and can inspire people to be a better person. And hopefully that's in multiple areas, you know, it's but mostly it's personally, and like freeing them up to know that they're capable of continually growing and evolving and changing and pushing the envelope, and not feeling like they had to like be less of themselves or shut up or like not change their career or take a paycheck that wasn't, you know, what they were worth. And they made more leaps, took more risks because of me.
She basically I got kind of like Kanye vibes just now, and that's like a good thing. Aubrey,
Oh
I really do appreciate you coming on. We didn't get to talk sports. I know you're busy, like so like
we
I'm
gotta do it
definitely not
again.
gonna go into the topic, but you
We gotta
gotta
do it during the season. Let's do it when the season kicks off. So we have actually
yeah, because like that's going to be fired up, and I know you're gonna have a lot of shit to say to me. I do appreciate you coming on to episode 9. Very interesting to get your takes. I didn't expect a lot of the questions that I asked you. I didn't expect the answers that you gave me. They went left instead of the you know, right where I was expecting it. So, but I appreciate you. I see what you're doing out there, and I'm not just saying this because I would shit on somebody, if, you know, honestly, if they weren't real. But I appreciate you doing what you're doing, and you're going to be super successful. But I don't got to tell you that. You already know that. So congratulations on the show. Congratulations on that sponsorship with Cash App and whoever else is about to sponsor you. You'll be like a walking like NASCAR driver soon. So shout out to you, and continued success.
Thanks so much for having me on. It means a lot.
Thank you, Aubrey.